NWSL is back. In case you guys didn't know, I'm sure you know, obviously that was a little bit of sarcasm there for you. But let's get to our season predictions now. Ali, I'm going to start with you. First one, who's the best off-season addition?
I want to go with Jaden Shaw. I think she, obviously going from San Diego to North Carolina, she's elevating the, Courage's attack immediately. She's an incredible addition in midfield. She brings that creativity and energy, which will, complete their attack. I think they struggled with that number 9 position too last year and just finishing chances. So she's going to be able to be that adaptable, versatile player who's going to hopefully provide a lot of the goal scoring opportunities for North Carolina to get back to the playoffs and get over that quarterfinal line.
Yeah, Ali, I agree completely. I mean, I think the answer is Jaden Shaw here, right? I mean, absolutely. I think the biggest move of the offseason from the Courage, but I guess I'm going to look a little bit different too. I'm going to look at a departing member from the Courage too. And I look at Narumi Miura and going to Washington, I think quietly a really good pickup for the Spirit, who obviously with no Andy Sullivan this year are going to need to fill that gap in midfield. And then, just a team that you look at Orlando, you look at Washington. We talked about this a little bit last week. These are two teams, the two finalists from last year that largely have only gotten better. The Spirit's still dealing with some injury issues, obviously, in a number of ways. But, I think Narumi coming in to solidify this midfield is quietly, maybe less flashy of a move than the Shaw move, certainly. But this is really one that I think really bolsters this Spirit midfield even more, gives them depth and makes them, frankly, even better as long as everybody stays healthy.
Right. She Believes Cup, Challenge Cup for Miura, maybe NWSL Cup. Looking forward to what she could possibly do there for Washington Spirit. But yeah, Jaden Shaw, really excited to see what she can do there for Courage. All right, next one, Ali, the team that will have the biggest turnaround.
I think you're going to be happy when I say this, but I think Houston Dash are going to have a really big turnaround. They're going to go from worst to first, possibly. I think that there's a leadership overhaul. There's a new coach, Fabrice Gattrell, who has valuable experience, also as an assistant formerly with North Carolina Courage. Angela Hucles has now joined as a president. So I think overall they're going to have that investing in the leadership and the development of players. There's new additions. You have Calaprico coming from San Diego to hold down the midfield. Yasmin from Gotham, who's one of my favorite players. Obviously, I was so lucky to train with her and play with her. She's an impact player. She scores goals. She's just always creating opportunities into the attack, providing assists as well. And then Delaney Sheehan, who also came from Gotham, who's just that, solid midfielder who can hold up the ball, loves to be back to goal, and very technical and creative in and around the box. So I'm so excited to see how they play, with Alozie up top, possibly. I know she's been playing outside back recently, but maybe she'll, be able to get into the attack and create some really good opportunities with Ordonez as well. So I expect them to kind of have this overhaul this season, and it starts with the leadership.
Yeah, I mean, I think no doubt, Ali, Houston has got to be better than last year. I think the additions that they made are positive in a number of ways for them when they needed some positives after 2024. I'm not quite as high on them, I'll admit. I don't know about as big of a jump for me. I think Utah Royals are a team that I look at and see rough start to last year, right? Really rough start. They make the coaching change midseason in June. And then you look at the back half of the season when they brought some players in the summer transfer window. They started to get things together under Jimmy Conrads. And, you look at him taking over full time now. This was one of the best teams, strong statement maybe, one of the hardest teams to play in the back half of the season and had a very good record in those last 2 months. And I think you look at Mina Tanaka, we've talked about Alexander on this show, Claudia Zarnoza coming in and solidifying that midfield and playmaking. So I think you look at that, a couple of quieter but solid free agent moves that they made to try to shore up some pieces. And this is a team that I think the end of the season came at the wrong time for them last year. And I think they can really find a way to start this season strong. They could be, I don't know if they're not going to be a top 4 team, no. but they're going to be drastically better than a team that was sitting at the bottom of the table most of the first half of last year. And, still in the end didn't look that amazing if you just glance at the final standings. But I think this could be a difficult team to play for a lot of other squads.
I was able to call, I think, 1 or 2 Utah Royals games last season. And the thing that sticks with me and exactly what you just said, Jeff, this is a team that's resilient and that they won't let you sit comfortably through the 90 minutes because they walk in not thinking we're the last of the table. They walk in thinking we have a chance. We have 90 minutes to prove something else and not just where we're sitting at the table. Of course, a little bias in my statement, but I was so excited when I saw those 2 moves. Sorry, Allie from Gotham to Dash. But the biggest thing is, let's see what they can do. They have Paige Nielsen there, who's a standout as well. She was there for Angel City, made that, of course, shocking move for her at the end of the day, that transfer midseason to Houston. So that big opportunity to turn it around, no doubt. All right, let's take it to the top. Who's your 2025 Golden Boot #1, Allie?
I'm sure Jeff can agree with me on this. We'll see. But I think Temwa Shawinga is obviously going to have so many opportunities once again to be brilliant this year, be consistent. Her scoring ability is top notch. Her work ethic, I think she'll retain the title, even though Bia hopefully will be back to help provide service and assist. I really believe that she can, because of the MVP and Golden Boot winner last year that she received those awards, I think with her creativeness, her ability to, see and create chances, and then just the way that she can score goals. I'm so excited to see her continue to play this season, and I can't wait to see her ability out there this year.
Yeah, I don't have any argument, Allie. I'm not even going to argue against it. I'm just going to offer the alternative, I guess, which is to say, last year we saw that sort of, 2-person race here with Barbara Banda and Temwa Chawinga, and I think we'll see it again. I mean, these are 2 players that really got settled into the league last year in amazing fashion. Obviously, 2 teams that I think have, if they're not as good as last year, they're better, right? And I think that this could be a really interesting race. I do think it's hard to say Banda personally took it this way, but certainly we heard from Orlando at the end of last year, and we've even heard it recently from Seb Hines, like, they took it as a kind of a slight that people said Barbara Banda went cold in the back half of the season and she didn't keep up in the Golden Boot race. So I'm interested to see if maybe there's a little bit of motivation there, even personally. I think Orlando, we saw it in the Challenge Cup. They look like they haven't missed a beat in the offseason. So I think we are probably due for another Chawinga versus Banda race. And I'm gonna tip my hat to Banda in this one. And maybe, it comes down to that home stretch and she's firing on all cylinders come fall this time.
I feel like there's no wrong answer when it comes to who's going to be the Golden Boot and those names that both of you just mentioned, even the list of our candidates there at the end of the day. Speaking of candidates, Allie, who do you have as your front runner for MVP this season?
I said Trinity Rodman. I just think that her impact on the Spirit is phenomenal, and it has been for the past few years. She's the engine of the team, an impact player. She's a fan favorite. She delivers in the big moments, and she's the most marketable player. Her evolution in the NWSL each year has just been more mature and consistent. So I think that she's transformed the Spirit and her game specifically to be able to finally get the MVP honors, as long as she can stay injury-free and play week in and week out. I think she really has a great chance.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think I look to the Washington Spirit as well, who I think are due for another very good season. And admittedly, when I vote in these things, I try to look a little bit beyond, I guess, Golden Boot and that. So I get a little bit niche with these picks sometimes. But I think Lacey Santos, we not just because of what we saw in the Challenge Cup, but I think, again, a player who came in, had to settle in mid-season last year, still made a very strong impact. And now with a full season to start from preseason, to get into a flow for Jonah Heraldez to have a full season, even to implement a plan. And then you look at the midfield, clearly going to be a focal point there, right? So I think, could be a player who, if everything else is clicking for the Spirit, which I think we expect it to, could be, dishing out quite a number of assists, being the center of attention in the middle of the park, being somebody who is finding a Trinity Rodman, who is playmaking, who is really sort of that focal point for the Spirit. And so I think, while maybe a less flashy pick than even, some teammates or even some others in the league, I think it could be maybe one to watch for me. So I'm picking Lacey Santos. We'll see if my boldness pays off here.
We appreciate boldness. We appreciate niche here on Football W. Have no doubt about that, Jeff. From individual prizes, let's take it to the collective prizes. Obviously, everybody having their eyes starting with the NWSL Shield. Allie, who do you see taking this one?
I had thought, last year Kansas City was going to take it all. So I want to revamp this and at least say they're going to win the Shield just because of their previous year's performance. They have the MVP and Golden Boot winner from 2024. They got to the semifinals, obviously lost to Orlando, but their attacking strength and now solidified back line that they collectively achieved halfway through last season. Unfortunately, it was a bit too late for me because they did concede more goals than they should have. But the center back pairing with Alana Cook and Sharples was excellent. So I hope to see that continue this season. And then as long as that is solidified, then the attack will have more opportunities to score goals. So I'm banking that they will at least win the Shield this season.
Yeah, I mean, everything about the history of this league, when I think about this every preseason, I want to say, well, something crazy is going to happen and something different is going to happen. But this is clearly a top four coming back into the season that stands above the rest. And I look at Orlando, and this is a team that's gotten better. The season that they had, I don't think it's replicable to go 23 games unbeaten to start, obviously, but I think you look at the squad, the lack of turnover and really the improvements even that they've made. We see Rafaeli coming in. She's back, didn't get to play much last year, so that adds to the defensive prowess that they already had established last year. I think this is an Orlando team that, again, still adjusting to saying something like this, given some of the struggles that they've had. But this is a team that I think can really establish itself year over year as not only a contender, but a team, the team to beat, and a team that's going to be difficult to beat. And I think really could win another Shield here back to back, and obviously did the double last year.
Yeah, they wanted to scare us there, thinking that Marta was going to retire, and then it was a psych. She's actually staying a little bit longer here in Orlando. So that's definitely something that they can rely on at the end of the day, that natural leadership that she has. But yeah, that big competition that they have with KC, it's always such an entertaining matchup. From the Shield to the championship, Allie, who do you have?
I have Washington Spirit. I was hoping that they could get back to the playoffs and win. I think their team is so strong, and just like Jeff had said, Heraldez is there now for a full season. They have some new additions, and you're going to hopefully get Croy back for most of the season, coming back from her knee injury. I think you have Trinity, you have Hatch, you have Aubrey in goal, you have Santos, like Jeff had mentioned, who's going to be a huge positive impact for them this year. Bernal coming in to kind of solidify that defense, and McKeown and Kregar. I just think that they are really, really strong. I think obviously winning the Challenge Cup is going to give that confidence to start the season off so well. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to get back to the playoffs. They're going to have to work hard. They're going to have to continue to replicate what they've done and just build off of what Heraldez wants from them, that possession-oriented, game, and dictate the play. And if they can do that, I think they're going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, and for me, I'll build off of what Ali said from the Shield conversation. I think Kansas City, again, you look at this top four, I think little to separate them last year. Certainly expect that again this year. And I look at this current team, all the improvements that Ali mentioned, certainly midway through last season, defensively, the offensive firepower. We saw there, I think we don't even talk about players like Michelle Cooper, who have really improved here over the past year or so. Because of Chewinga. If Bia is back in a healthy manner for some of the season, even the back end of the season, I think that's a huge positive. And she showed us in the limited time that she could be in the MVP conversation if she can stay on the field, right? So I look at the talent on this team, maybe a little bit of hunger for the way that it ended last year, which I think that they probably felt like Obviously felt like that they should have moved on and done more there. And then, I think you add the factor too of being in it. I mean, they've been in it as a group now. Last year, Vlatko Andonovski has a proven record in this league and in the playoffs in this league. I think this is a team that will be in the mix. And then obviously you get to those playoffs and really the semifinals this past year, and anything can happen. I think the Kansas City Current are as good of a shout as anybody for winning this title.
Yeah, I love how there's no one clear front runner when it comes to individual prizes, when it comes to Shield and championship. That says a lot about the league, that everybody is just kind of trying to step up and challenge their next rival when it comes to winning those important titles. Jeff, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Before we let you go, what can we look for from you on ESPN.com?
Yeah, we got the ambition rankings came out today. Who's going to be, who's pushing the league forward and who's got to catch up a little bit. And then to some of this conversation, we've got last year we did our MVP tracker, checking in throughout the season. So we're kicking that off this week with just an outlook, so to speak, a preseason. We know some of the favorites, which we just talked about, and then a few dark horse picks of, maybe they're an early prediction and maybe they're not. I don't know. We'll see. But names to watch in the MVP race potentially.
All right. Can't wait for that. Jeff, thank you so much for hanging out with us today on Football W.